Sports Today on 4BC. Peter Basaldas with you through until 8 o'clock tonight. Well, I've spoken a lot about this person on the show over the years, and I'm really looking forward to having a chat with him. Michael Katsidis, he's got a very big fight coming up on April 10 Australian time when he takes on Robert Guerrero in the WBA lightweight title. So looking forward to chatting with Mick, and he's on the line right now. Michael, welcome to the program. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Now, whereabouts are you at the moment?
Mate, I'm in Thailand. It's just our regular training routine here. We get in about 6 weeks to 8 weeks before every fight, and I'm just going through the hard grind at the moment.
You've got the fight coming up in April, as I just mentioned, against Robert Guerrero. Now, what will that fight ultimately lead to should you be successful there?
Well, it's one of those fights. It's a make or break, as they all are. I only take the hardest fights, and we've been in a position where I'll let you know too. By the way, it's Nacho Beresin, the trainer of Juan Manuel Marquez. He stated that he will not fight Michael Katsidis again. So that was sort of uplifting to know about.
Yeah.
So this next fight that I have, as you know, will be for a world title. And Marquez cannot maintain. You can't reign and be world champion and not fight the best in the world. So I'm fighting the number one in the world, Robert Guerrero, for the world title. So of course this is it's going to be a great event here, and hopefully a win like this would force Marquez in a very pushing position here, where he's either going to drop the rest of his titles or fight me. So. It's one I'm really looking forward to.
You mentioned something there that you don't take easy fights, and I'm sure those that have seen you fight, whether it be on main events or in pubs and clubs over the years, can testify to that. What is it in you that just wants to challenge yourself against the best whenever you can?
Well, it's like if you want to achieve, I think you have to sort of take on the hardest task. You have to do. You have to do the hard work, and then like fighting is just that. Like if you take the easy roads all the way, it's not going to be a real entertaining event by any means. It's one of those things where people go to see a mano a mano. They want to see people perform at their very best, and that's why I do what I do, and I don't want to be doing it forever as well. I like to work hard and get the job done. And with these big fights, I'm going over in America fighting the best in the world. That's exactly what I'm doing.
You've been a professional now for what, nearly a decade?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm professional at about 22.
Yeah,
and I'm 30 now.
How long do you think you can see yourself being in the ring for? Because just hearing you Mick, I get the impression that you don't want to just be in there making up the numbers and just getting fights for the sake of it. You'll keep fighting while you're still on the top of your game.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be fighting until I'm 45, like Bernard Hopkins is, or anything like that. Yeah. But I'm coming into my peak, which is like it's a really, really good thing for me. I've had about 6 international fights at the moment, and it's a known thing in all of the fights in America that I'm improving with each of my fights, and gaining a lot of experience each time, and I'm just really looking forward to getting in there and using that experience that I've gained.
Do you pinch yourself when you're stepping out in the ring in these big locations in places like Vegas with so much boxing history that goes along with it?
No, not really. Like I sort of, it's been one of the things as part of that experience, being accustomed to that, feeling right at home. I even spent a year living in Vegas. And, and I feel very comfortable fighting at the MGM, particularly now. It's just something where you just have to just zone out and get in there and just do the work, just as I'm doing here in Thailand. The boxing ring all over the world has pretty much become my own backyard, and I've had to do that in order to compete against the best. What
drives you, Mick? What is the ultimate factor that drives you to do what you do and you do it so well?
Mate, I think it's the challenge. It's having such a hard challenge in front of me, and it's just being able to go in such a big fight, get up there, win a world title, and see that so many people can get behind it, and so many people. I mean, coming from Toowoomba, Queensland, Australia, is just a great thing. And like the team, we've been together for such a long time. Brendan and I working at this. I first trained with him when I was 11 years old, and it's just such a great accomplishment, and just to come from where I come from and being able to reign at the top of the world over in Vegas with the biggest boxing ring in the world, it's a really great feeling, a feeling of self-satisfaction and being able to draw that attention, and especially ultimately my goal is to get that world title back and bring it back to Australia and have some of the best fights I've ever had is back at home, especially while I'm at my peak, is one of the things that I would like to do, and to have that attention drawn there. But you can achieve such great things with so many people interested in the sport. It'd just be a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit more impressive to go and see you fight than some of the circus acts we've had around here in the last few years.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a bit about those, but yeah, I mean, I would really like to lift the sport and people actually go and see some boxing like they used to, like many years ago.
It's funny, isn't it, when I talk to other athletes, they can have an off day. A footballer can have an off day and the team can still carry them and they may have a win. But when you're in that ring, and as you mentioned, this fight just means so much to you for the rest of your career, you have to be so switched on, don't you? I mean, there's no half measures when you're in the boxing ring, no matter what level you're at. You do.
I mean, it's just one of those sports where you can't afford to have an off day. If I'm performing, 3 times, if I fight 3 times a year, I have, it's the one day that I can't be sick. I can't be having an off day, and therefore this is part of the reason why we base our camp where we do. We're away from everything. There's no distractions. It's a very, very hard, rugged lifestyle. Mentally, you have to adapt to many things, and I've come across many crossroads throughout my career, and that's all part of the parcel. I mean, of course, anyone being successful at anything, they have to overcome so much to be able to achieve what they do. And this fighting is one of the hardest sports in the world, and it's one of the things that I want to be successful at doing.
Now, Mick, I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but I knew your brother quite well, and it was very sad for us all last year, particularly for yourself. He was so proud when he spoke about your achievements in the ring. Do you use the memory of Stathy still as a motivation?
Yeah, of course.
He's still in your corner?
I'll tell you, the hardest thing to deal with that was, I mean, if you put yourself in my shoes, if anyone was to put themselves in my shoes, if you think about your own brother or your own sister or your mother, even at such a young age as well, and then being able to have to put that off and then perform at that one day at the most crucial time in your life mentally it's a very hard thing to do, and because I've done that now and I was able to go through and didn't just go there and have the fight. I went there and I give it my best. For me, mentally, that was something where I gained a lot out of. I've always been a believer. What doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And since that fight, I've had about 2 months. I had to hold off that grieving process. He died about a month before I had to perform in Vegas, and then I've had about 2 months to spend time with the family. And of course, it wasn't just me; it was my whole team. Brendan knew Starcy very well. We spent a lot of time in camps together, and that we all went through it, and our family suffered because of it as well. But we've all had many times talking about it now, and we've been, and it's so good now to be able to. So I've a huge weight off my shoulders now when I train, and I can look forward to being able to perform at my very best. And I've had 2 months. 2 months is just a great time for me to let all that go. And now one of the things I've been able to grasp onto is the hard work, and now that by doing that I feel better each time, and of course it's making him proud, and I can get up and I can perform my very best. It'd be something that can make everyone, the whole family, proud, and everyone proud in my achievement.
Well, I know, Mick, that you won a lot of admirers over the years for what you've done in the ring, and that's the comments that we heard from you in the lead up to the fight against Marquez last year, and then your comments just now there just show just what a strong head you've got on your shoulders. And I suppose it must be comforting for you that wherever you'll go, he'll always be in your corner.
Of course, mate. Of course, and I mean that's part of being a fighter as well. This is the toughest sport in the world. Something, and everyone's had to endure such things. If you look at anybody and anything that they do to be successful, I mean, if you got into some in-depth conversation with them, I'm sure you'd find that they've had to deal with very similar things such as that. and to overcome them. They couldn't just throw away their empires just based upon, like a death in a family. As bad as it sounds, life does go on, and people do have to continue and go on. And I'm sure doing what I'm doing would be making Starkey proud.
Yes, I'm sure it is. Now, one other thing I wanted to talk to you about, Mick, was your costume when you head into the ring when we see you occasionally. Obviously, very proud of your Greek heritage.
Yeah, of course. I am. My father's Greek, and the tattoo that I wear on my back is the son of Virginia, and it's a warrior thing. It's like a mental approach. Of course, the mental games become. The mental approach become a very big part of the game. Of course, it's 100% prerequisite to be in condition, and then of course you've got to have the mental as well. And when I go out there, like I really put it in my head, they're going out there to war. And the first time I fought with that outfit on is in Las Vegas. It was at the Mandalay Bay. I think it's a Filipino fighter, and I've always said, I don't care what happens. During the fight, I'm going to give it my all, even if I have to be carried out. I give it my all. It was saddening in that fight. The guy actually got a brain hemorrhage during the fight. And look, let's just face it. It's not an easy sport. It's a hard sport, and you've got to be prepared to give it your all every time you get in there. And that's what the best in the world have to do. There's no easy fights. You can't go fighting, taxi drivers for a living, every 2 months on Fox just to get by. You got to fight the best in the world and compete with the best in the world, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm prepared to take on all comers in doing so. So that's what I'm trying to demonstrate.
Yeah, well, we certainly admire you for it. We're all going to be watching on Main Event April 10 here, April 9 over in the States when you take on Robert Guerrero at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Michael, really appreciate your time on the program this evening. Great to finally be able to catch up with you, and all the very best for the fight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being on the show. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Michael Katsidis joining us there on Sports Today. And we'll continue to catch up with Michael in the lead-up to that fight as well each week on the program between now and April 10, our time when he takes on Guerrero in what is going to be a very important fight for him. 29 after 6, Vicky Wilson joins me next. You're listening to Sports Today on Brisbane's own 1116 4BC.